Okay, today we're talking about Perutah Chamurah. Some of it is a little technical. I'm going to try to help it make sense.
I mean that year?
Wait 1 second and you're going to find out. Okay, so one of the things we have to do when we separate Trumas and Mises is we have to give, there's a primary Truma, there's Truma, there's primary Miser, and then there's a secondary Miser. And that secondary Miser depends on what year you're in. So if you're in the first, second, fourth, and fifth years of Shemitah, you have to give Meiser sheini. That's this year is the fourth year of Shemitah. So, and the other years, the third and the sixth year, you give Meiser ani. That produce that has the Meiser sheini has kedusha to it. You have to in the times of Beis Mikdash you eat in Yerushalayim, or you put the kedusha onto money that you'll eat spend in Yerushalayim to eat food there. But now we're not allowed to eat Meiser sheini in Yerushalayim. So we put the kedusha onto money, and then put kedusha onto money, and we'll talk about what to do with the money in a second, onto a coin. If you put the kedusha onto your own coin, you have to get a chaimish, which means in the way we speak in English, it's 25%. Okay, it's milabar, so you have to give what would be a fifth of the total. So that's what we would call 25%. So if I have 40 cents worth of Meiser sheini to give, and I'm putting it onto a dollar coin, a new Donald Trump dollar coin, then I need to put on to 50 cents worth of kedusha on, 40 cents for the Meiser sheini, and 10 cents for the chaimish. If I'm using your coin, someone else's coin, I don't need to give a chaimish. Okay, just do the Meiser that itself. Now, this is relevant to us. Right now only. I'm only saying it now because this year happens to be it's a year of Meiser sheini, and there's another reason why it's negated to us, and that's because there's a mitzvah called beer. Unfortunately, I could not find the video of Yossi doing it for us. We'll get to the details. Yeah. So in the Pesach of the fourth year and Pesach of the seventh year, that means after the whole cycle ends, each 3-year cycle ends, you have a chiyuv to get rid of any trumas or mises and things that you have. So including for us, getting rid of the coins that have kedusha on them, you have to get rid of them. Okay. So this year that just passed. So the time just passed. So there would be no more coins left of Meiser sheini once Pesach came. And now what you hear about Perutah Chamurah, now would be the time for getting a Perutah Chamurah. Okay. So what's for this coin? There's a bunch of requirements. There's a bunch of requirements for the coin. So the first is that you have to be able to use it in the currency where the Pidyon is taking place. I'm going to talk to you more about that in a second. Okay, the type of coin, what kind of currency it is, I'm going to talk to you more about that in a minute. Okay, the coin has to have on it when you initially make the coin, which is what we're going to talk about the Perutah Chamurah. When you initially make the coin, it has to have at least a Perutah of Meiser sheini on it. Okay, you don't have to always put a Perutah on it, but when you start the coin off, when you make this coin the first time you use it for Meiser, you have to have at least a Perutah of Meiser sheini on it. Okay,
what is at least a Perutah's worth of Meiser sheini?
Correct. So now, what does that mean? Okay, so it's drop complicated. Hopefully this will help make some sense. Okay, in the Shulchan Aruch it says that if the weight of a half of barley kernel is equal to 1 Perutah. That much silver, I should have said that. Silver that weighs the amount of a barley kernel, of a half a barley kernel is a Perutah. Okay? And the Chazon Ish and others tell us that 1 barley kernel weighs 1/20th of a gram of silver. Okay? So those are the 2 facts that we need. We're going to need one little one afterwards, but that's the 2 facts that we need. Mainly we could see for ourselves that the weight of 1 barley kernel is equal to 2 Perutahs. Okay? Which means is that if we had, and that's 1/20th of a gram of silver. So a gram of silver would be equal to 40 Perutahs, or 20 barley kernels. Okay? And then that means is that if we had, now, a troy ounce of silver, which is the way silver is sold in the world, is called a troy ounce, is 31.1035 grams of silver. And maybe we could figure out that in 1 troy ounce of silver, there will be 1,244, and a drop of that many Perutahs will be in a troy ounce of silver. Okay? Now, if we take that, so now, again, so with the 2 pieces of information that we had, we could, and then the third, that how much is a troy ounce, we can calculate that 1 troy ounce is equal to 1,200 and something Perutahs. Okay? And now we can look at that's what we want. That troy ounce is worth is 1,200 and something prutas. Now, if we look at the price of silver, okay, so historically, the price of silver was low, like the $10 range, $5-10 range. It spiked in the 80s, or the late 70s, and then again in like 2010. And then this past year has been through the roof, okay, as you can see here in the chart. So depending on the price, this is the price for troy ounce. And what you see is like this. So if you think about it, if 1,200 and something prutas come in an ounce, in one troy ounce, and for every, let's say when it's $120 or so, a pruta will be 10 cents. When it be like $60 or so, a pruta will be 5 cents. Okay, when it's about $12 or so, it would be 1 cent. Okay, Ramosha says it can never get less than 1 cent. Never less than the smallest coin you have in your country.
Well, the smallest coin is very soon to be not 1 cent.
No, because it's still legal tender. Okay, it's the fact that they're not producing anymore of them doesn't mean it's not legal tender. I don't think it would have made it. But the truth is, anyhow, nowadays it's at least 5 cents. It's about 5 cents anyhow. It's again in Eretz Yisrael, where they don't have. I mean, they probably still do have one agro coin, but it's not relevant. In Eretz Yisrael, it's now so for us, Perutah Chamurah is somewhere between 5 and 10 cents, give or take 5 or 10 cents, depending on the price of silver now. And Eretz Yisrael is between 15 and 50 agro. Okay, so that's what our coin has to be. There's a machlokes whether when we said that it had to be a pruta, does it have to? When I said you have to put at least a pruta onto the coin, does that mean a pruta of meiser or a pruta of chaimish? Shulchan Aruch and the Chazon says we should follow that. Says it should just the meiser sheini has to be just a pruta, not the chaimish. Okay, once I.
Is this based? You mentioned the Chazon Ish, the Shirim, Noé, Chazon Ish, Rav Moshe in the middle. Is that playing?
Not relevant. No, not relevant to this. Okay. Once your coin has kedusha meiser sheini on it, you could put on. Once it has a pruta onto it, you can put anything else you want. You don't have to put a pruta on the next time. But the first time, when it gets kedusha the first time, it has to have a pruta. Okay. Now, nowadays that we don't eat our meiser sheini in Yerushalayim, and we don't take the coin and buy food in Yerushalayim and eat food with it. You could put as much kedusha as you want to onto one pruta's worth. So you could have $500 worth of meiser sheini, and you could put that onto one pruta's worth of a coin. Okay, if in the times when you were going to eat that in Yerushalayim, that would be jipping meiser sheini, taking $500 worth of meiser sheini and putting it onto 10 cents, that's jipping meiser sheini. But nowadays that we're not going to eat it anyhow, you could put a lot of kedusha onto one pruta if you want. Okay, you don't have to put equal amounts. And it used to have to be you have to put an equal or the right amount. It wasn't fair to meiser sheini, but nowadays it's not relevant. And then not only that, then you could take after a while, and we're going to talk about this more later. You could take. If your coin, let's say you have this dollar coin and it has 10 prutas worth of meiser sheini on it, you could put all that kedusha onto another coin. Okay, so knock it off of this and make this coin back to being so to speak empty. The coin gets you could put up until you filled it up. So let's say it's a dollar coin and you put on 10 cents each time. You take 10 cents as a pruta, so then you could only put on 10 times, and it'll be full. Then you could take off 90 cents of that and put onto another coin, and this coin is back to being full.
$500 worth on a pruta's value. So can I put $500 worth on a half a pruta's value?
Well, when you on, that's a good. I don't know the answer to that question.
Because then you could use one coin infinitely.
Because I put onto a.
Just say I'm putting $500 worth on a tenth of a pruta.
So I don't know if
on a thousandth of a pruta.
I think you can't. I don't know, but I think you can't. When you start, you for sure have to have a pruta.
Use as many prutas as the value has.
No, but what you do is then after you filled it up and you have it's filled with as many prutas as it
one single coin.
But then you can take the kedusha off that, put another coin, and back to our original coin.
Yeah, but I'm saying on one single coin, you can only use it if it's worth $20, which therefore let's say it has 100 prutas, you can use it 100 times.
Correct. Yes, correct. Okay, and you're also supposed to mark the coin with a mem. That's why you saw that coin at the beginning was the Circe's pruta. Doesn't exist anymore, but you're supposed to put a mem on it so people know that this coin is meiser, and they won't use it just to buy themselves a bag of chips. Okay, so in Eretz Yisrael it's easier because in Eretz Yisrael they have coins that are worth a lot of more, like 10 shekel, like that. You could buy maybe 20 shekel. I don't know if there is yet, but there's 10 shekel coins over here. Our biggest coin really is a quarter, but there's also $half and dollars, at least for like that. Okay, you could also use these coins to be paid the net the ravai. I'm not going to talk to you about that. Okay,
you just say this coin is a quarter.
The coin that we use day to day, a quarter is like the biggest regular coin we have, and it's just all a 10 shekel coin is a normal coin. Okay. That's a regular people walk around with that. For us, most people walk around with $half, but there's such a thing. Yes. Okay.
At this point, they're just as common as pennies.
Okay, so what's a Perutah Chamurah? So, if a person had to be marfish less than a pruta's worth, let's say for example, I come to someone's house and they're serving me soup and there's parsley in it. Okay? Most herbs, you don't have to be marfish trumas or meiser. Parsley, you eat as a food also, so I'm not using it as an example. Okay, or it's got some carrots floating around, and I want to be marfish trumas or meiser. The meiser sheini, which is just 9% of the whole of what the thing is worth less than a pruta. Okay, the amount that I have to be marfish is less than a pruta. I can't put that kedusha onto a coin in my pocket because the coin that I have, to start off a coin from meiser sheini, it has to have a pruta in it. So I only have 2 cents worth of meiser sheini to put onto a coin. I need a coin that already has kedusha to it. Okay, so what do? So I need. It's called a Perutah Chamurah. I need a coin that has on it, you'll hear why it's called Perutah Chamurah. It's a coin that already has Kedusha on it, and then I'm going to use that when I have less than a Perutah for it. Okay? If I have more than a Perutah, I don't have a problem. It's when I have less than a Perutah, I need a coin that's already started off. Okay? So the first thing is, of course, it's got to be a coin that had Kedusha on it already. Okay, that seems easy enough, except there's some conditions. I can't have something that was suffix. If the kedusha that I put onto the first, let's say I went into the supermarket here and went to the supermarket in Eretz and I bought some carrots and I was my first time meiser sheini onto a coin. Those maybe someone was my first meiser from those already. So it's only a suffix. I was doing it l'chomra, but maybe it had it already. So then my coin is not for sure having meiser sheini. It doesn't have kedusha on it yet. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. That's not good. I need to have a coin that for sure has kedusha meiser sheini on it. So I need stuff that was not suffix. I need stuff that was for sure chayiv and truvas or meisers. Not only that, I have to have something that's chayiv and truvas meisers on the equal or higher level to what I have. Carrots are not chayiv and truvas meisers midaraisa. Only dog and tirish and yitzhar. Grain and olives and wine are chayiv and truvas meisers midaraisa. Everything's drabanan now, but in the theory, those are the ones that deraisa. So if I put stuff from if I put wine kedusha onto a thing that had kedusha from a carrot, I didn't do my check. I didn't get it right. So it's called a Perutah Chamurah because I have a coin that has on the kedusha from something that's more chomer than what I had. It's vaday with tevel and it was kedusha of dagan tirshu yitzar. Okay, so you realize that in order to get a Perutah Chamurah, what I need to do is I need to find myself grain or olives or grapes that had for sure did not have trumas mashas separated from them. Put at least a pruta of their meiser sheini onto my coin, and now my coin is ready. It's a coin that can handle anybody's meiser sheini being put onto it. That's my goal is I'm getting this coin that has it's chomer. It has a pruta that's more chomer than anybody else's, and it's on this thing. And now I got my coin that I could use for anything if I want to. Okay. There's such a minute, it seems, that to put 2 prutas onto it because you're afraid the price of silver will go up, and somehow that messes things up. Now, so once I do that, what I do is once I have my Perutah Chamurah, I have it in my hand, this Perutah Chamurah. What I'll do is I can keep dumping more kedusha onto it, but when I take the kedusha off, I make sure to leave. Every once in a while, I take all the kedusha, I put it onto another coin. I make sure to leave my original Perutah Chamurah on here. Okay, so if I have my dollar coin and it has on it 10 cents worth of Perutah Chamurah, 10 cents of Perutah of kedusha from dagan tirshu yitzar, from for sure vaday tevel. When I take the other 90 cents off every once in a while, I make sure I say I'm not taking off the 10 cents that was originally because I want to hold this as a Perutah Chamurah. Okay, so that's why.
You're not saying you're making sure not take off the kedusha that was the raisa and for sure and talking
correct.
Yitzhar, I'm taking the other kedusha, not that
correct.
kedusha.
Yes, that's correct. Now, and that's why it's all relevant again when I said it's now. Now, first of all, consider your meiser sheini, but also everybody had to get rid of their Perutah Chamurahs this past Pesach. This past Pesach, all those Perutah Chamurahs had to be destroyed. Okay, that's what you have to do. You have to get rid of the coins come Pesach of the 4th year and the 7th year. So there were no more Perutah Chamurahs left. Now, come Pesach, so shortly afterwards, there was a harvest of grain. If there was a harvest of grain in Eretz Yisrael, you could take that and make a Perutah Chamurah from it. When it comes now in the summer, the grapes are coming soon, or I don't know when olives are harvested, you could make a Perutah Chamurah from them. But everybody, come this Pesach, needed new Perutah Chamurahs. There were no Perutah Chamurahs around, because it couldn't be. Okay, it had to be stuff that was from Chayiv, that was dagan tirshu yitzar, and the old coins were thrown out. Okay, now, as a hashgacha, we don't ever need a Perutah Chamurah. Okay, and that's because we once had a case, a company that bought watermelon seeds from Eretz Yisrael.
Seeds.
Eretz Yisrael seems as a huge exporter of watermelon seeds. I don't know what, but that's what it is. It seems that they're a big exporter, and this company had 30,000 pounds of Israeli watermelon seeds that needed Hafresh Trumas and Meiser Shem. Okay, so the Meiser Sheini from that was 2,700 pounds of seeds. Okay, it was worth well more than a pruta. Okay, zillions of prutas. Okay, so it was easy. The Meiser Sheini part of it was easy. We just took the kedusha and put it onto any coin you wanted to, and boom, that was it. Now that coin has Meiser Sheini, and we have to deal with it. How we have to deal with it. Okay, the truma was more complicated. I was going to put up. I didn't put up a picture of them. The truma has kedusha. You can't put it on anything else. Okay, it has to be burnt. So Rabbi Oppenheimer tried to burn it first, and he was not successful. And then, so Elchanan, my son Elchanan, decided to burn it. And he was wearing a yellow T-shirt the day he did it. They put a picture of him in the Ated because when he burnt it, a kohen is allowed to have hana from truma tmei that's being burnt. So there's a picture of him roasting marshmallows in the fire from this truma because he's a kohen. He's allowed to make the marshmallows in it, and he was wearing a bright yellow T-shirt. So it went well for the paper. The Ated put a picture of him roasting marshmallows over his truma that he was burning. It wasn't very successful to burn it either. It ended up going to Mosheva and being buried. Anyhow, okay, so what we only needed, we needed is the most people who need it, and Hashgacha in particular, is to help consumers. You're a consumer. You went to a person's. Most people who, if you mafresh trumas yourself, usually you wouldn't need a Perutah Chamurah either. Okay, you buy stuff that was $10, and the Meiser Sheini is, let's say, $1 or so, 90 cents is your Meiser. No problem. You could be put the kedusha onto a coin that's worth more than a pruta, and nothing. Then you have to deal with it. You have to deal with that coin. You don't need a Perutah Chamurah. Okay, you just have your peppers that needed a Meiser Sheini. Okay, so my 90 cents worth of Meiser Sheini, I put onto this coin, and I'm good. It would be, but if we get to a consumer, is let's say you stopped at a rest stop. Can you put yourself an orange? Okay, you put yourself an orange. Orange costs you $1 or costs $1.50. Okay, so there the amount of Meiser Sheini that you have is less than a pruta. Okay, remember our pruta is 5 cents, 10 cents. Okay, so if our Meiser Sheini is less than a pruta, then I'm gonna have a problem. So there was a time we don't need it because whenever we deal with a company that needs it, it's going to be worth way more than a pruta. We'll just put it onto a quarter and we'll be done. We're fine. We put it onto even a dime. We could do it nowadays. We get into a dime and we'll be fine. But the problem is if we're trying to help the consumers, then that's our issue. Okay, so in Eretz Yisrael, where this is of course much more relevant, there are organizations that do this for them. They make Perutah Chamurahs, and they even do it for not Perutah Chamurahs. Even if anybody wants to be mafresh, put kedusha. You don't have to deal with kedusha of your Meiser Sheini. You say I'm putting it onto the coin from the Karen that I belong to. Okay, you pay them how much a year, and I'm putting it onto their coin. And what they do is they have coins that have kedusha on them. And they're constantly emptying and refilling them. Okay, they have let's say 100 coins, and every morning they take all the kedusha except for the Perutah Chamurah, bump onto one the half a shekel coin, and then they get rid of that coin. Okay, so they're constantly filling and emptying. They're doing this for the consumers. Okay, and so we as an American hashgacha thought we'd do it for Americans who needed it, who once in a while got stuff. For a while we were part of one of these places. They eventually kicked us out. They said they don't want us to be involved, for whatever reason. So we once made our own Perutah Chamurah. That's the picture you saw at the beginning of the Perutah Chamurah with the mem on it. That was the CRC's Perutah Chamurah. It was very complicated, and we just gave up. Afterwards, we just gave up, and now we tell people, hope for the best. Hopefully, you have more than a Perutah. If you have less than a Perutah, you have a problem. We can't help you. Okay, we just can't help you with your Perutah Chamurah. What?
Doesn't sound that difficult to
You just cut it off.
find somebody.
What did you say?
Cut it off and not eat it.
Could they the Meiser Sheini? You're saying it's such a small amount anyhow. So we have to treat with kedusha. It has to be treated with kedusha. Mm-hmm. So you have most people. It's easier to put onto a coin. The coin is easier, so to speak, to treat with kedusha.
You got carrots in your soup, and you got bleeds of Meiser Sheini in there.
Well, you're not gonna be my first. What's already in it?
Oh, so he's saying is I have my carrot and then now it has blias. If I put the kedusha off something else, I got rid of the blias. That's a fair credit. I don't know. No one ever thinks of it like that. That just to separate it and actually keep the kedusha. I don't know. I guess you could do that. But so we've given up. We said we can't help you.
Why is it so complicated?
I'm about to explain to you what the complications are of getting a Perutah Chamurah. Okay, so the complications I know about the complications only because at the time when we tried to get one, this is a few Shemitas ago, we tried to get one and we eventually did get one. Okay, that picture was from a real CRC. It was our Perutah Chamurah, which you destroyed when it came. I don't know if it was Shemitah or the fourth year that came afterwards. It was quite complicated. Okay, so there's two main complications to making this. Okay, now really the easiest way to deal with this would be, in theory, the easiest way to deal with it is to get Dagan Tir Shviyatzer, that's Vadei Tevel, bring it to Chicago, and make our own Perutah Chamurah. That would be the easiest way. As you'll see in a second why everything else is more complicated. That would have been the easiest thing. Except we run into the problem that it's legal to bring raw food into the United States. Okay, so if not for that, and we're very upstanding and do what we're supposed to do, but if not for that, the easiest would be to do is, it's not, that itself not so easy, but we could have found someone who would get us Tevel of Dagan Tir Shviyatzer, Vadei Tevel, that's worth at least, whose Meiser Sheini is worth at least the Perutah, which was not so much, and bring it to the United States, bring it to Chicago, and do the project.
They do it all the time, but with an import license.
They do the import license, but that import, we'd have to get someone who Vadei Tevel. It's not enough just to go to the store and buy grapes from Eretz Yisrael. We'd have to buy ones that are Vadei, that for sure no one's for sure it's Meiser them. Okay, so that's it's a complication. We have to get that. Okay, and we don't have an importer's license, but yeah, could we connect to someone? We could try that and get that. That's a whole patch correct. Okay, so let me tell you the two big issues that there are with getting a coin if you don't do this thing of bringing it to America. And the first is like this. I told you that when you make Pidyon of Meiser Sheini, you have to use it on a coin that's usable as currency where you're doing the Pidyon. Okay? There's a machlokes rishonim about what I just said, machlokes rishonim what that means. That's like this. Unfortunately, you're going to see I didn't make this perfect. Okay? There's 4 pieces of information here. Okay? We have 4 things you have to think about. Is the coin, are we going to use we're going to get a Perutah Chamurah. Are we going to get an American coin or an Israeli coin? The second is, where are we going to put that coin? Where's the person who's doing the hafrasha, and where's the produce that's doing the hafrasha? Okay? So in my first case, the first case is I got an Israeli coin, and the coin is in Eretz Yisrael, but the people and the produce are in America. Okay? Which is in fact what we had, in our Perutah Chamurah that we had was that kind. Okay? It was an Israeli shekel. I don't know if you noticed it. It was maybe a 5 or 10 shekel coin. It was located, you left it in Eretz Yisrael, but the people and the produce were in America. Okay, so the coin is in a place where it's currency. You could use a shekel in Eretz Yisrael, but the person and the produce are not in a place where you could use it. So when the din says you have to have money that's usable, that you could spend in the market, that you could buy something with. Well, the money and is where it is, it could be used. But where the person and the produce is, it can't. You walk into a store with a shekel, they'll throw you out. You can't use a shekel in America.
This is just for the first time, right?
No. This is for every time you do hafrasha. Once we have the Perutah Chamurah, you want to do hafrasha, it has to be the coin, the money, the kedusha has to go into a coin that's usable in the place. But what that usable in the place is a vague term. In this case, the money is usable where it is, but it's not usable where the person is. My apple that I have in my hand, I can't spend a shekel on this. Shekel has no value over here. Can't be used now. That's one case.
Do we have any example from Ole Bavel? Going.
I'm going to tell you in a second what the din is. I'm just telling you this is one possibility. Okay, the next possibility is I have an American dollar. Okay, and it's in Eretz Yisrael, and I and my produce are in America. So in this second case, the money that's I'm putting kedusha onto money that I could spend. It's an American dollar coin. I could spend the money. Me and the produce, I could use, and where I am, it's usable. But where the coin is, it's not usable. Now I know you'll tell me that you could use dollars in Eretz Yisrael. Okay, but
how do you make it into Perutah Chamurah in Eretz Yisrael if it wasn't a local currency?
How did you make it originally?
Yeah,
it's a good question. That's a fair question. Okay, I'm not sure what to say to that. Mm-hmm. But we don't make. I forgot to mention this earlier. We don't put kedusha onto paper currency. We do put it onto coins. Okay. Now I know the Gemara says it has to have a tzura on it, but we can do, and it has to have value. We're allowed to put onto coins, regular coins that we have nowadays, even though they have no inherent value to them. Okay, you're allowed to put them onto coins, but not into currency. So in Eretz Yisrael, let's say you could spend a paper dollar or a $10 bill in an Israeli store. Maybe yes, maybe not. But a coin, I can't believe anybody would take. Okay, so if you walked in with a bunch of quarters, they'll throw you out. So an American coin, which is what you have it on. The coin is something that could be spent in the place where you are, or where the produce is, but not where it is. It's located in Eretz Yisrael, but where you are, you could spend it. So is it totally on the person? The first case was we saying maybe it's totally on the coin, where the coin is, and the second is maybe it's totally where the person is. Okay, and now for our last case, as you guessed, there was going to be a third case coming. Okay, the person is in America, and the coins are in America, and it's an American dollar. Okay, everything's American. Okay, except that the produce is in Eretz Yisrael.
Is in there.
Is in Eretz Yisrael. Okay, which means to say is, how did the person be in America and its produce in Eretz Yisrael?
Well, because you're saying you're not bringing. Well,
No, I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. Well, why would the guy in America being mafresh truma on stuff that's in Eretz Yisrael?
Oh.
So I think my chart is
You want
wrong.
to make it Perutah Chamurah.
I think my chart is wrong. I think I wanted to put an Eretz Yisrael on the third.
Someone called you from.
No, but what? He has an apple in America, and I'm doing it for him. Okay, I have to check. I'm not sure if that was right. Maybe that should be an
Or
Eretz
is he
Yisrael.
planning on bringing it here?
Bringing it
Bringing it
to America.
Yeah, he's.
I don't know. Okay, so the answer is like this. The answer is like this. It's a machlokes rishonim, as you might have guessed. Okay, it's a machlokes rishonim. It goes like this. No. Okay, machlokes rishonim. Most rishonim hold that it depends on where the coin is. Okay, so our first case, where the coin is in Eretz Yisrael and it's an Israeli coin, most rishonim hold that's good enough. Okay, the Rambam holds no. It depends on where the person is, the person and the produce are. Okay, so in the second case, the Rambam holds that the second case is the one where it would be good, but the first case would not be good. Chaim Kanievsky says, but the third case, everyone will be maskim. Okay, the guy's in America. The coin is in America. Coin is in America, and the person is in America also. No, the person had to be in America. The person's in America also. So then, Mamana Shach, it's okay. The person's in America. The coin's in America, and it's an American coin. Then it would have been okay.
So where's the produce?
In Eretz Yisrael. Okay, the produce is in Eretz Yisrael. Okay, so what we could do is we could have. So let me try to say how this plan would have worked. Okay, so what we could have done was we could have. I'm not sure if what I wrote here.
But what did we do when we had it?
Well, so what we did when we had it was we followed most Rishonim. We had an Israeli coin that stayed in Eretz Yisrael, and we used it for our fashta for people in America. Okay, it was an Israeli Perutah Chamurah. We didn't make an Israeli Perutah Chamurah. We got an Israeli Perutah Chamurah. We took one, and that's going to come to the second thing, the complications. We got someone's Perutah Chamurah, and we left it in Eretz Yisrael. And so the coin was in Eretz Yisrael, and it was an Israeli coin. And we said, and therefore most Rishonim held that it was good enough that you could be mafresh truma using that coin, and then we mafresh it, and then we just had to get it back in time for you to do beer.
Is there a way to be mazaka? I guess maybe they have to grow first. Mazaka, the fruit in Eretz Yisrael before it comes here.
So I should do my trumas for everybody's produce. So I have no idea if you can. That's not our place to do that. Maybe the local rabbis there could do that, not us. Okay. So the second idea was maybe we should get a Perutah Chamurah from Eretz Yisrael. Okay, which and I don't want to say it's easy to get it, but it's within reason to get it. Get a Perutah Chamurah made in Eretz Yisrael. Okay, they create such things, so they need them. Okay, get one, and then
send it here.
Bring it here. Okay, bring it here. Now, when we bring the coin over here, now we have an Israeli coin. It's not even on the chart. An Israeli coin in America is totally useless. Okay, so we wouldn't be able to use that to be mafresh truma in America. We couldn't be mafresh over here because the coin and is in a place where we're totally useless.
Even though you can go to a currency exchange and they
right, but you can't go to the market. There's nobody you could walk into a store. You can't walk into Kol Tov and give them a shekel. They'll laugh at you. Okay, so.
Unless you make an arrangement with Kol Tov, then they won't be willing.
Okay, because they're nice people, maybe. So what happens if we would do is we would take this Israeli Perutah Chamurah. This is our idea. We said take the Israeli Perutah Chamurah, bring it to America, and then transfer the kedusha from that Israeli coin onto an American coin. Take the whole thing, Perutah Chamurah and all. Take the whole kedusha and bump it onto an American coin. Now we have an American dollar in America for people to be mafresh truma in America, and we're in business. Okay, we've got the person and the produce and the currency all in the same place. Okay, so take this coin, bring it here, and once we're here, then we bump. Usually, you don't take off the Perutah Chamurah. We would have to take off the Perutah Chamurah and bump it onto an American coin, and now we're good. Now we have an American coin in America with the kedusha on, and we're ready to go. Now you can't use it in the Canadian, couldn't use it, or people in Mexico, but everyone in the United States would be able to use it. Okay, we have that kedusha on an American coin. So that seemed like a good idea. So I saw Rabbi Berkowitz. I was in there while this was going on. In shul, and I said, "You think anything wrong with that? Anything wrong with moving the kedusha onto an American coin? You can't in America. The Israeli coin has no kedusha." He said, "No problem. Nothing wrong with moving. It's okay to move the kedusha onto another coin, depending, regardless of whether it's usable and not like that. It makes no difference. You can move it onto it." Okay, so I thought we were good. Okay, we take this coin back and we'd be in business. But then we have a problem. Moving the kedusha onto an American coin is only going to help us for a few hafrashas. So what we have to do is every once in a while empty the kedusha off of this American coin and put it onto another coin. Okay, that's like you do in Eretz Yisrael. Okay, that would seem like it would be okay. So I mentioned this idea to there's a person. His name is Rabbi Yehuda Boyer. Okay, he died about 2 years ago. Thankfully, at the time when I spoke to him, I had no idea who I was talking to, and I just told him, "Call this person." I called him just like a nice guy. He died about 2 years ago. He was 90 then. He was probably younger when I spoke to him. He was a tremendous Talmid Chacham in Bnei Brak. He writes Svarim, his Rosh Hashiva, Talmud Chazon Ish, like really a holy guy. But I had no idea. I just called him up, just go, "Hello, Rabbi, can you tell me what I should do?" So there's silly American nudnut bothering him. And anyhow, so we spoke for a bunch of days, a bunch of times. And he said, I said to him, "Is this okay, this plan, that we should do this?" I don't know so much from Eretz Yisrael. So I said, "Is it okay if we do that?" So first he said, "No, you can't do it. Because you're not allowed to move Kedusha from one coin to another coin. Okay? Unless the Ram says you can't do it. Move Kedusha from one coin to another coin. The Chazon says, it doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means unless it's a tzarech." He said, "I don't know if you could do it." So that I didn't understand. I said, I don't understand. In Eretz Yisrael, they do it all the time because it is a tzarech. Because people need to be able to do their truma. If we don't keep one Perutah Chamurah, we have to keep moving the Kedusha off the coin, or else our coin's going to get used up. So we have to, it's a tzarech for them. We have the same tzarech. Our guys in Chicago have the same tzarech as the guys in Tel Aviv. They all need to get Kedusha off of the coin onto something else and then keep emptying that coin so they can have it back. So, okay, so that was fine. That we dealt with. But then he came up with something else. And he said, is in the Kafta V'Ferach, I don't remember, it was like 200 years ago, I don't know how long ago it was written, big sefer about Eretz Yisrael. And he says, he doesn't say it. There's a diag in what he says, that you could only move Kedusha from a coin to another coin once. You can't move it twice. That's what we would be doing, a double transfer. The Kedusha from the let's say the grapes was put onto the Israeli shekel. That's the first transfer. Then from the shekel onto our American dollar, that was our second transfer. And then we're going to keep emptying this dollar. That's a third transfer. We're going to enter from the American dollar to other dollars. So we keep this coin with this Perutah Chamurah. We're going to keep emptying out the Kedusha off of it onto the third coin. So there's a diak in the Kafta Ferach that you can't do that. The Kafta Ferach says when you move the Kedusha from the original coin onto another coin, and then you destroy the coin. Okay, and then you destroy that second coin. So there's a diak from that. Chaim Kanievsky makes this diak. He says the diak is you can't move it from a second coin to a third coin. You can. It's bad enough you moved it to one time. You can't change it to a third coin, and that's why you have to destroy it. Okay.
Whoa, which coin are you destroying? An American coin?
Yes. So the
Oh,
I'm sorry. I forgot to mention that we spoke to a lawyer about that, and the lawyer said that he read the code, and the code said you're only not allowed to do it if you're doing it to denigrate the United States and deface it in a way that's not respectful to the coins and this and that. But if you want to just destroy it, we asked the lawyer, and the lawyer said it was fine. I forgot to mention that.
All those penny machines passing its muster.
Right. We asked the lawyer. The lawyer said it was fine. We asked the lawyer. Okay. I forgot to mention that. So over here, what we're doing is we're taking the Kedusha was put onto an Israeli coin, onto a shekel, 10 shekel piece. The 10 shekel we moved onto an American dollar. So we transferred from the money, from the produce to the shekel. That's one transfer. From the shekel to the American dollar, that's two transfers. Now this American coin is not going to last forever. We have to keep emptying the Kedusha out of it onto the third coin. That's why he said the Kafta Ferach, you're not supposed to do that.
So this is moving the second transfer from coin 2 to coin 3.
From coin 2 to coin 3. That's what he's saying is such a thing. In Darchum, he says he makes his diad. The question, of course, is that there is a Rambam that gives an example of moving Kedusha 2 times like that. I have an example of that. And maybe the Kafta Ferach was just saying, the normal thing is, you move on the second, and then you throw the coins and get rid of the coins. He wasn't thinking like such a crazy people like us that have to leave for 3 transfers. He wasn't saying dafka. He was just saying, you have to get into the second coin, now destroy that coin. Okay? But that's what he said, we shouldn't do that. So he didn't want us to do that. So that's why we didn't do it. I mean, we argued back to him and said, maybe it's just a diag. It wasn't like it didn't say outright. But again, Chaim brings such a thing. So we just so we did not do that. And I told you what we did is we ended up leaving the coin in Eretz Yisrael. Maybe we get more courageous and more decisive and decide we could do it even double transit, in which case we could get it to Perutah Chamurah and bring it to America, do this whole spiel. But at the time we decided, and since then we were like, forget it, this thing was way too complicated. It was like way too complicated. We just gave up.
Yeah, question how many phone calls you get.
What did you say?
Question how many consumer phone calls you really get.
Right. Well, what happens is that people do call and say, how do I be mafresh truma shmaisus? And we have instructions to them. And our instruction says something when it talks about the getting rid of taking the kedusha off, it says something like as long as it's worth like 10 cents or something like that, And what happens if it's not? Then we just throw up our hands. We tell them it has to be worth, I don't know exactly what it is, but something along the lines of assuming it's worth at least 10 cents. And I mentioned them really quickly before, and the Mechaber says that it has to be just the produce has to be worth a pruta. The Ma'aser Sheini has to be worth a pruta. The Rambam says the Chaimish has to be worth a pruta, which is even harder. Okay, and to make the Chaimish worth of pruta, you'd have to have 50 cents worth of Ma'aser Sheini. And for us, we just have to have 10 cents worth of Ma'aser Sheini. So we're it's easier.
Tell people to produce their own coin. Take a quarter or something.
Right, and then we have instructions of how you get rid of the coin. We didn't talk about that, but that's how you get what you have to do with the coin. But at least I'm giving you an eitzah. Take the dime out of your pocket, do what you have to do, and then you'll have to get rid of it. But then you have the kedusha on a coin. It's within reason. The problem is when you have when your meiser is just 3 cents worth, your meiser sheni. Then that's our problem. Then we have nothing to do for you.